Hello and welcome to the Osteophysio YouTube channel. For today's video we're going to be looking at how the modern posture affects your shoulder. Number one, the main symptoms that arise when we're slumping forward. Number two, how this increases your risk of injury. And then part three is our special gift for you, bringing everything together. So what do I mean by the modern posture? This is where we're spending our time looking down at our phones or slumping watching TV or driving. What this does is it changes the mechanics of the body. In the short term, fine, if we're in a posture for about 5 to 10 minutes, it's absolutely fine. The problems arise when we repeat this posture over and over, day in, day out, puts excessive pressure through structures, through muscles, through joints, which can then lead to pain, tenderness and problems. So how do the mechanics of the body change? So what we naturally have is a lovely extension curve of the neck, flexion curve of the upper back and extension curve of the lower spine. When we're slumping forward, what this does is it completely alters the mechanics of the curve. Short term, slight amount of tenderness. Long term, the body adapts and fixes more likely in this position. So what happens is the head drops forward. So this causes that anterior head carriage, so the head drops forward. What then happens in the upper back is you get an increased curve, so you see people kind of rounding forward, increased kyphosis, and then typically straightening into the lower back. What we're focusing on today is this effect on the shoulder and what it actually does. So you think and imagine if your upper torso is dropping forward, already you can see the shoulder is shifted forward. So what that means is you're going to be putting more pressure around the shoulder, around the elbow and into the wrist as everything's dropping down with pressure going through that area. The main conditions arise is due to pressure. So if you're dropping the shoulder forward, what you've done is one, with the rotator cuff muscles, if we take the stability or the stabilizer of the shoulder, as the shoulder drops forward, all of the rotator cuff muscles shift and their attachments are put under more pressure. So because the glenohumeral, so because the shoulder joint is relatively unstable, they have to act more to stabilize through. So they're working not only harder in this position, but they're having to work a lot more to fix as well. What we start to get is pinpoint sharpness and pain around here and tenderness and fatigue into those muscles. So the most common symptoms we see is either a supraspinatus tendinopathy or damage to the supraspinatus muscle belly or even subacromial impingement. So what this means is where the tendon comes through this little arch, where it's dropped forward, you're putting continuous pressure through this area, causing damage to the tendon and swelling of a bursa, which is a fluid-filled sac, which is incredibly tender. So what also happens when we get that anteriorization and inferiorization of the shoulder is we start to put more pressure through the long head of the biceps. So obviously different attachments, but one of the attachments of the biceps goes deep within the glenohumeral joint, deep within the shoulder, blending with the labrum. So what can happen? So if we're lifting from here normally fine, the problems arise if it's pushed forward, we're putting more pressure through that attachment. So the risk of damage to the long head of the biceps tendon is elevated. What also happens is the bicep attaches, like we said, into the labrum, which is a fibrocartilaginous cup within the glenohumeral joint. Its role within the shoulder is to add extra stability into the shoulder joint. What can happen if it's dropping forward and you're doing all your normal activities, so lifting and moving, you can start to wear away. If it's not from a traumatic onset, you can start to wear away and damage the labrum as well. So again, you're at a higher risk of developing issues and problems with the labrum, which would present with a deep click and a deep soreness within that shoulder joint. Finally, what can also happen with the shoulder, if the shoulder has dropped forward, the body is all about balance. So what you start to get is all the muscles around the back of the shoulder have to work harder to bring it back, otherwise you would just continue to drop forward. What you can start to develop is something called trigger points, so knots within the muscle, which can be incredibly painful, sharp, but also cause pain referral down into the arm. So not only can this induce localized pain, but you can start to get an ache down into the arm, which again can be incredibly tender. The reason why we're telling you all of this is what we want to avoid is one, all of the conditions that I just listed, but also getting you to recognize day to day when you're allowing that shoulder to drop forward and why that might be causing some of the tenderness that you're experiencing. So you're probably hearing all of this and just thinking, oh my word, what am I going to do? How can I help myself? And so what we would look at in terms of getting the shoulder moving and helping with this posture, One, recognising what you're doing day to day, making sure you're taking regular breaks every hour, watching yourself if you've been slumping forward and allowing the shoulders to drop back. Number two, relaxation around the shoulder. So again, we've done trigger point release videos on this. So actually releasing around the muscles that are tight and starting to stretch through the pecs and up into the neck to allow the shoulders to drop back. Number three, what you might want to do at the end of the day is we looked at resetting through the posture by bringing the shoulders down and back from lying on a towel. This is really effective to open up through the chest and to allow the shoulders to drop back. If you're thinking, what am I meant to do? I need a bit more guidance. What we've created for you is a free shoulder manual. So the healthy shoulder manual, so what you can do to prevent these conditions and what you can do to try and encourage the shoulder in the best and strongest position. We've broken down each of the videos, we've broken down key stuff you need to look at and implement daily in order to stop injury and allow your shoulder to feel amazing.